We start out on this new road. No turning back. But we have our ancestors with us. We're gonna continue to dance with them. Dreaming them. Calling them. Being them. We are becoming what we were.
It is part of that Mayan prophecies.
7 triangles of light.
Keep walking. You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
People who say that the gods made them from corn. They planned their lives according to the heavens. Well-versed in astronomy, using a sophisticated mathematics, they calculated the movements of the night sky thousands of years into the past and thousands of years into the future. They knew that the universe moved in cycles. Their lives were ruled by the rhythms of the natural world, planting and harvesting, birth and death, just as the great tree of life emerges from the earth.
Always they're connected. Science and religion.
In dreams, we learn from the Maya gods when to plant and when to harvest, when to set the fire, and when to do the corn ceremony.
What we're digging up, what we're coming up with is part of our history. And the men that lived here are some of the greatest men we've ever had. And it's the fact that we're getting to know more and more and more about the life of these people.
They still maintain their customs, they still maintain their ways of organizing their societies. And it's very exciting to see how much of the ancient Maya way of life is still alive as well.
Because American history does not begin in 1492 with Columbus. It begins in 200 BC with the first Maya king who wrote his name on a stone. What is happening now is the people who made these places, people like Yashpak or Bird Jaguar or Pakal, are getting back their voices. They are becoming real to us and speaking to the people of the 20th century about who built this place and why and what they felt and what they thought about the world. These are not anonymous people anymore.
You are the spirit of Unapu. Keep walking. We the human, we are doing the spirit of Unapu.
Yo, LA natives.
How's the community out there? Are they ready? We got somebody really special today.
Wow.
Right?
I have to say the wow before this episode starts because I already know it's history in the making right here, Zero.
This young man's so talented, man. And then the people that get to rock on the beats, man. The list goes on and on with this very talented producer.
Well, Zero, you're a producer as well.
Yes.
You know how vital and important it is to be a quality hip hop producer.
Yeah. It takes time. And you have to invent a sound that fits in with many other sounds, right? And the best always bubble up to the top right away because, they're kind of insane in that way where they just spend hours and hours and hours being repetitive. But I want to introduce my homie, NugLife on LA Natives.
Go ahead, NugLife, put those earphones on, get into the mic.
Yeah, IG, thank you for the illustrious intro conversation.
Hey man, I like to highlight my natives in a way that no commercial or corporate thing is gonna do, because this isn't about like selling things. This is about connecting or finding out if you are connected in whatever way, and if you aren't, here it is, bro. It's right there. It's us mending the wheel, what they say, mending the wheel, and we only do that by reaching down, not down, but reaching out to our younger generations, right?
Big facts. You got to keep the cycle going. The OGs that I've seen extend a hand to me and others, it's a beautiful thing just to keep that shit just everybody just keeps the
being, each generation has their own sound. It doesn't mean that you like it or it's your favorite, but you can appreciate the art behind it and know how difficult it is to create it. At least I do, because as Mondo said, I've produced 7, 8 full-length albums, right? I know what it's like to have a safe of like 50 beats, but when you're making beats for 3 MCs, 50 beats is like 10 beats. You know what I mean? Because they're just like on them, and they're just, some songs are good, some songs you release, some songs aren't complete. But I love the way you work, bro. I love the sound, because it's Jay Dilla-ish, but your own way. Is that a correct assessment?
Thank you, bro. Yeah, I mean, Dilla is a big one for me. Alk, Madlib, Flylo, all the greats, man. Static, you know what I'm saying? Like, even a lot of the producer rappers are my favorites too. You know what I mean? Like the Evidences and the Alchemists, and even, J. Cole, even from a mainstream perspective, but to see him making his beats and spitting, and like Eric the Architect from Flatbush Zombies, like that type of shit is like, whoa, okay, you're in.
Now that you mention it, it's kind of a weird place to be when you make the beat and rap on it, because I could imagine you just make the beat, right? You don't rap, do you?
A little bit, little nuggets here and there.
Okay, I see. You're developing that other skill. It's tempting to be like, oh, I'm an MC and but when you do it, it's almost like twice as hard, because you have to be creative on the beat side, and then you have to be creative about what you say and write.
Yeah, you're drowning in analyzation. You're like, the fuck? Like, all right, I got to figure out my beat perspectives. Now I got to figure out, like, this rap perspective. Now I've been mixing for hours and hours. Now I'm in this sludge of beautiful creation, but you start to lose, like, the...
Exactly. That is exactly how it is.
You got to step back or be zoomed in. Like, either way, it's still, you got to find those breaths of fresh air.
And then when you step away, from me, when I step away, I'm still thinking about it. Like, I'm eating, but I'm still but I'm not in front of the computer or doing what like, sitting and mixing or whatever. It's more like, oh, okay. Because ultimately writing verses or making beats is a repetitive thing. It's something that you have to learn how to master. I tell people, correct me if I'm wrong, I want to compare it to you as a producer. But I say at least every song I've released, I at least listen to it like 1,000 times. At least.
Just about, You definitely...
I mean, you don't count, but...
Nah, yeah.
It's like you said, you get into this sludge where it's like, what am I even listening to right now? This idea sucks. Or you can get into that mode where it's like, oh, it's going the wrong way. And because it's not solid,
Yeah, bro. I listen to that shit working out, in the whip, fucking out the Bluetooth speaker, out.
And you're talking about one track, right?
Yeah,
you're talking about one track. This is over
times.
and over and over. And that's what makes it like so detailed, right? Because that's one thing I noticed about your production is very detailed. It's not sloppy. It's well thought out. It has its start, beginning, end, right?
Yeah.
It's really well put together. I'm not surprised that you're working with Planet Asia, Self-Provoked. I mean, these guys are real lyricists, and to be highlighted on your canvas, I mean, that's
crazy, bro. Dream.
How does it feel to be like, okay, I make beats, and these guys want to rap on it,
Feels like dreams, bro. It feels like I'm still in it right now. Like, I'm just peace, y'all.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm right where I need to be, man. And I know I've come a long way, but I got so much further to go. But it also feels like, bro, there's so many times I've gotten text messages or phone calls or like certain answers from fools, and I just like, I'm in the whip or I'm at home just like, yeah, smacking tables just out of excitement, just like, because I'm a pretty humble, chill cat, but like some of those moments, you can't deny it, man. Like those feelings and the energy. And
but that type of energy, it's like you're laying the foundation and you're building your brand, and you know those shout outs are going to come. You know those cosigns are going to come. You know that validation is going to come. It's a matter of time, right?
No. You say you hope it does. You go, I hope. I mean, I've done big things in my career, but they're decisions that a record label would make, but I'm the artist, right? Do you understand that?
Yeah.
So it's not like you're trying to hit lightning in a bottle, but that lightning in a bottle comes with a certain construct that makes it go into that bottle. That's the way I see it, right? So when you're independent and you're grinding and you're putting out, you don't have the same outlet that a label does. It has 5 people on staff that are doing the things they need to do. And, oh, did you get that poster done? It's not the artist doing it. He took the picture, but they send that off to a graphic designer, and that it's a mechanism, right? On a level of which NugLife is, right? Because he gets to work with these artists that are high profile. My grind was, I didn't have, and I'm not saying it as a complaint because I learned so much. That's why I'm able to have conversations with brothers and go deep on the business side of it and the production side of it and the creative side of it, because I had to do it all, right? There was no manager that did El Vuh stuff. We kind of did it all of us.
And then to run with, quote unquote, labeling yourself as an indigenous hip hop artist, that just puts you on a whole different pedestal, in my opinion, because you put something different on that table. Am I right, NugLife?
Man, yeah, that's, if you label yourself as an indigenous artist, you got to live up to that, I think. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, that's a whole nother degree, bro.
Yeah.
And even to where, man, I just remember like my OGs like telling me, you got to work harder even because you're indigenous, bro. Like, you're in a certain area, you got to work twice as hard now, bro. Like, don't let that, that's not going to make it easier either. But I guess what I was trying to say too is like in the music and the lyrics, and I know a lot of my stuff's very universal hip hop, but if you go back to NugLife 2020, you'll hear like young indigenous kid mobbing around Oakland, like, or even to this tape, you'll hear a story of NugLife, certain I don't want to say subliminal, but just very like, if you know what I'm talking about,
right,
on certain native aspects in the music. And some people, it probably just flies right past them.
Yeah.
They don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah,
Well, every music has its muse or what it's about. And NugLife's is very clear. And that's cool because there's a whole culture behind it. I'm a part of that culture, It's not my artistic frame, because my artistic frame is the Aztec calendar, the wisdom, the 2012 prophecy, all that other stuff.
Everything that NugLife is doing right now is what I believe in, incorporating indigenous culture in his music, incorporating dope underground hip hop artists, and then incorporating cannabis.
I'll tell you why my opinion is that exactly what you just said, because it's less harmful than alcohol.
I believe in those things. Am I right, NugLife? It's so vital.
Man, the weed helps us get through. At the simplest, for our recreational people, it knocks the edge off. But for some of us, we actually really need that shit.
Post-traumatic stress, all that other stuff that we come with,
Depression, anxiety.
Yeah.
And people could be doing a lot worse shit than weed right now. Like, come on now, bro. But, those are the main things, man. It's the music. I let it speak for itself. Then comes, the man behind the music. And the obviously, NugLife is what it is. But you don't have to smoke weed to enjoy it necessarily. I'm sure there's a nice group of fans that's just like, nah, I get what you're doing, bro. I don't gotta inhale, get high off the music. And
what's interesting? I want to ask you this as an artist. Like, you just said, some people won't understand it, right? But when you're an artist, you kind of just create. And if you feel it, cool. If you don't feel it, I'm not hurt because you don't feel it. There's a billion people out there. There's more than enough people to say, I like it or I don't like it. And so when I've started to create in that manner, where it's like, oh, I can't be too controversial.
Yeah.
And it's like, my job is to be as controversial as possible, but without it being blatant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I just read this website or I saw this YouTube and I wrote this verse. Nah, that's not me. I got to figure out, okay, cool. I saw something. How could I metaphorically put it so that it goes past your mind and it hits your heart? That's what I do with my lyrics. I got to go past the mind to hit the heart. And some people stay in the mind. Like, oh, I want to impress the mind, right? So they're skillful. Whoa, I can't believe. Ooh, look at how skillful he is, you know?
Yeah.
So but all of our culture as natives, always the beginning and end is the heart.
It's love, man. Yeah. It's all love, and it's an energy, bro. Like if you ain't chasing that, what are you chasing, bro? What spirit are you after, bro? You in the wrong place.
Yeah.
If it ain't after. Absolutely. Yeah, man. The heart and the love, and just. You know, we had a cool conversation after the listening session at my home studio. It was like me, Self, P, Noah James, Frankie OG. We're just talking about how like we're some high motherfuckers in the studio, man, and we're just, you know, Self is very outspoken on his views, especially in these past years politically, to where certain people might disagree with him. Even I disagree with him to an extent, but he's still my friend and musical collaborator.
Yeah, that shouldn't separate.
You know, so it's nice to talk about those things. But I just remember, going back to like, he was kind of like, bro, I see what you're doing, bro. Like, as long as all of us in this room are trying to challenge ourselves or put something in there, like, it's kind of a reoccurring topic already in this conversation, but just keeping that energy in rotation. That love or that creative energy, like I kind of feel like I can be a nucleus for my close camp, like my really close artists. Just as long as I keep going, man, some of these motherfuckers are gonna keep going, man. Well, I see that.
Look,
vice versa.
I understood, like I told you my story, my musical story, where I bump into these individuals who are very influential musically, right? Quinto Solo Reggae Band has been playing 25 years in LA. They've won LA Weekly Awards. They've toured Mexico City. They've written it all around, revolving around their culture, right? So that the way we connect is by him going, oh wow, that's crazy that the OGs talk about that. And for us, it's to appreciate, wow, look at how the new OGs are coming up. Like the future OGs, how they're coming up, you know? And for us not to criticize, but to accept, understand that the sun creates many different versions of, they don't have to be our version. I didn't force my children to follow this road.
Yeah.
I showed them this road. And if they ever get lost, they know what road to follow back home. That's what we have to create with our generational link.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you're going, you guys are in this room, but it's all of you guys are in the same age bracket.
Yeah.
Right? Trying to find an answer. Right? You're trying to go, we're trying to keep this going forever and ever, and it's difficult and it costs money, and sometimes we hit or miss. Maybe sometimes it's a long string of it.
Like,
but
shit.
You know what I mean? Like, handling music business is hard.
Bro.
Do you have a machine behind you, NugLife, like a team of 5-6 people, doing things for you, or are you just full blown, full independent? You control what you envision.
I wanted to talk about this too. I thought about this coming in. Like, I was wondering if you were gonna ask me about the team or how that works. To be honest, man, I'm a one-man show for the most part. I got certain homies that can do certain shit. But I have to know how to do all that stuff too.
Like sample? Do you have to sample clear? Do you have to do things like that?
I clear my samples all myself, man. A lot of my video edits, like, I'd say like,
Oh, so you do the videos?
not the. So this past video, I had my boy edit, you know, and that helped take some relief off of me. I got my right hand man Yazid, who does a lot of my photos, who was here last time with us. Really though, man, like I have people I confide in. Like I don't have the engine yet running, because I feel like I'm at this weird place to where it's like, all right, I'm hitting this point to where like I'm this one man show with multiple hats on. And it's working right now, but I'm also in the weird position of like, all right, I kind of need some team members that believe in me now to where they might be able to be down to work for a little less with the future potential in sight to make more than they might think they could possibly make. So I'm in this gray zone, I think, right now of like, all right, I know I can manage everything, but to get to this next couple albums, like, all right, maybe I'm going to have to fucking
Get some interns.
Yeah, teach someone how to clear the samples so I don't got to clear the samples next time, you know, teach people how I do on my admin paperwork or marketing run throughs so I cannot trip off that. But for the most part, you know, my team consists of like dope visual artists, dope cameraman, couple dope music homies, but yeah, man, I need to turn up the notch next season and really get a nice just like fucking group of employees damn near.
Yeah. No, I ran a business for 2 years that was that generated $2 million. So I know what it's like to manage money and have employees and do all that stuff. But to do it for music, I'm starting to realize it's not the same principles, and you have to have certain things. But he just described clearing samples. That's boring, and it takes a long time, and you have to take hours and hours and probably stay on hold on the phone, and it's not fun work.
Fortunately, we have TrackLib, so once you get into it, it'll only take like an hour sample. So check out TrackLib, everybody.
Okay, so there's resources now. See, and that's beautiful that he's sharing, and that, you know, me, I didn't know about that, and I produce things too. So, man, but what I'm trying to say in terms of what NugLife said about being in this room and trying to sustain this energy, because it's not easy. He's already describing maybe 4 or 5 hours of work that isn't fun, that isn't smoking out and, you know, being in the studio. If you start to realize those are very short moments.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. But what I value the most is like, it's very similar to my situation where essentially I do have a group around me, but when it comes to the bread and pudding, I'm a one-man show.
Yeah.
And NugLife fully understands that you have to at least put in that effort to be the one-man show to even get it to the next level.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I spent $200,000.
I've seen so many artists or people, you know, try to, you know, jump through these hoops with the team already in place. They have no relevance.
Yeah.
Am I right, NugLife?
Man.
And we've all been through that in the grimy underground hip hop business that we are all surrounded in.
Right.
Dog eat dog world, bro. Protect yourself, your mental health, your health first and foremost, because like it's even trippy like watching what just happened with X, bro, and like Black Rob, and just saying like I'm sitting back asking myself like, where were the peers, bro?
Yeah.
Where are your fucking peers to help you make it through this? And it's like, I'm just sitting back like, I hope my peers and those that I can help are there to help me or reciprocate. Don't let me end up like that. Even if I make some bad decisions on my own to go do whatever. But like, I'm just like, fuck, that's how this game is? All right, now let me really understand what the fuck is going on around me.
Right.
And so hopefully my camp can be more enriched and empowered and shit, man. But you can't waste time with everybody too.
Well, and that's just another aspect of what we're talking about. What we just finished clearing about 3 minutes ago was put the paper here, you know, follow up with the phone call. That's something different than what he just finished saying. Like, who am I doing? Who am I building with? The only the reason I do this podcast is because I've seen Armando when he was younger, and he used to come up to me after a show and say, "Hey, man, I'm a big fan," and he never stopped telling me that he was a big fan.
No shit.
It's not
Since
like,
I was 16 years old, bro.
Whoa.
yeah.
That's beautiful.
We have a very long relationship, and I think the
I was at all those shows with I suppose back when we were, 18, 19, 20, with XP.
Yeah.
Like I would see them in the room. I wasn't aware of them because at that time they were bald-headed gangsters.
Yeah, they look a little different.
From the Valley.
Yeah.
Yeah. And back in 2001, 2002, it was all word of mouth, NugLife.
Yeah.
It was all just like, a kid in high school saying, bro, there's going to be a dope underground hip hop show. Bro, there's going to be a dope indigenous hip hop show. Imagine it in 2001, NugLife, you're like, I'm there.
Yeah.
And like he's like NugLife said, when you start spitting about our culture, like you better know what you're talking about and know how dedicated we are. And just to get a background, I mean, obviously he comes from a different generation, but El Vuh was born in 2002 and we went to 2012, which was the great shift, the Mayan procession. So everything we wrote about was about that moment. So once that moment passed, it seemed like it got deflated and then messages went a different way. They have their message with Huehuet Latoli, and then I have Zero, and then my own beat making career, which is going to come after I make this few singles, right? But I guess what happened was exactly what NugLife kind of just described. The boring part of it, the hard part of it. Nobody jumps in to do that. And if you're hungry enough, because you spent 18 hours trying to make this beat or, whatever it was, you gotta do it. And it's almost like taking out the trash or doing the dishes. And if you do that for, 18 years, you'll get frustrated. And then now I met you, and so things are different now. But I still have my catalog. It's still relevant. And I think
remember,
the answer to what you were saying about DMX and all that, just create a kick-ass catalog. If you create a kick-ass catalog, you'll find somebody to work with you. Because that's what happened with me and Mondo. I have a kick-ass catalog, and he's all, you working with anybody? And I said, no. And he's all, okay, well, let's work. And that's what we're doing.
NugLife, keep in mind, our first ever underground hip-hop blog event, when we launched, 2012, we were like, who are we going to headline? We had two headliners. We had Gavlin and Zero of El Vuh.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very dope.
It was, it's like a long history. Like, it's a long history. You wish that everybody was like.
And we were greedy at the time. We were like, look, me and my brother looked at each other like, yo, it's our first blog event. Who should we book? Well, let's just book our favorite artists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Gavlin was dope. Fun. And that was the day we got Gavlin's first ever video interview.
Oh, wow.
That's on YouTube.
Wow.
No one had ever interviewed you prior to that event that you were at, that you co-headlined.
Absolutely.
So we're all part and we're all connected. We're all part of this energy. Am I right, NugLife?
Yeah, because that means you guys were part of the inspiration that I was having in high school and shit. You know what I mean? Like whether it was direct or not, it was all around. Because I'm sitting back with Mike Pro in an apartment in Covina off a $40 Go mic recording our first shit, which is not so good as now, but we're sitting back and he's showing me Organized Threat and Rev and Pro Era, and we're exchanging all this music. And it's you know that was something I was on the outside looking in at the time, But
being an MC during the time he was describing was not like, it wasn't as easy. It just started becoming that, where it's like, oh, dude, I wrote these bars and I want to do it. I mean, and then prior to that, in '99, when I made my first hip hop record with Calpuli, right? That was my first hip hop record in 1999, and I did that with ASR 10 and instruments. I always had like a different production approach. Like I wanted to be a traditional producer. Like, get the best musician to play this part. Okay, I hear it. It's there. Stop. Okay, cool. Next. And build it like Quincy Jones or something like that. That's the kind of approach I take to my beats, right?
But I see you as a hardware producer.
Yeah.
That's the era you came from.
Yeah.
And then you made it sound so dope.
Yeah. Well, it just happens. Like, it's crazy. Like you just get
It almost is doper, bro. Analog hardware, bro. Like the ruggedness.
Yeah.
And I know that how it goes through the machine can add a certain like texture or whatever it may be, and like.
Well, you can EQ it. You can mess with the frequency inside that thing, and then run it through a mixer, and then EQ it there.
Yeah.
You know, and then compress it, come out, and then go into Pro Tools. So there's a chain of things that make it sound raw. Like I like Flying Lotus. I like beats that can eventually, if you hear them long enough, they're kind of taking you into a certain frequency or space. Right, I'm at that place, you know, where it's not just, you know, crafting. I remember when I first got I started my first beats on a Korg Trident, and I was like, I had it for 2 weeks, dude. I was about to throw it out the window. Bro. I was so
You're frustrated?
mad.
Or
I was
what?
so mad. I was like, man, this is not. And then I went, well, if I go to Guitar Center, someone will show me how to do it.
Yeah.
And so I went to Guitar Center and I was like, hey, how do you show me how to use this? And he's like, well, you pull up here. And I was like, there's that button. I was like,
Yes.
that's the button. And then so next thing you know.
I'm sure that was before everybody had a YouTube on how to do everything on
Oh, there was no
tutorials,
YouTube
so
back then.
it's like,
It was-
you have to have the fucking passion, bro, at that time.
Yeah,
Like,
it was very. And then when he showed me it, and then I go, okay, but, and then he's like, don't forget to put in the disc. And I was like, what disc? What size? What is it? And it was those IBM discs, you know, where the ones that you use for like the ASR10 or, you know, those floppy discs. It wasn't a hard
Even
drive or.
the old MPCs have them too.
Yeah, the old
sound
MPCs,
cards
yeah,
and
the
shit.
sound cards. We had to do like 4 of them to get like, you know, a long sample.
Man,
And-
imagine
Ridiculous.
how ridiculous that was, and
Yeah.
then having to store it.
yeah, and then you like lose one of them.
Oh no.
And like, oh man, so it doesn't load all the way. It only loads like 3 things or whatever.
Nowadays, dude, download Reason, you can make a whole project on it.
Mad.
But what is your medium?
backups.
What's your medium?
Man, right now I'm in Ableton rocking the I'm in Ableton rocking the Ableton Push, but I was using the Native Instruments Machine Micro when I was younger.
Okay.
And the thing is, they have their own software with Machine Micro that's like standalone or works in every software. So I still use the Machine Beatpad software with the fucking Ableton Push in Ableton. So I'm sure people probably trip out if they ever see me pull up Native Instruments in Ableton. But I have an MPC at home too, like an old Dilla one, and I'm just like, bro, I be trying to wrap my head around. I'm like, it's crazy being like starting in this digital age and then trying to move backwards. Like that's a crazy concept. I feel like that's hard to grasp, to where like you're moving from analog to digital. So I know you're just like, nah, like this, we've been at it, you know what I mean? And I know there's probably a time where they made fun of like computer producers back in the day, like watching old videos and shit. But
I you know, when I saw it, I kind of saw how Flying Lotus could make such an intricate beat when you're taking that digital approach. I don't know if he's gonna load 50 samples into an MPC. Maybe not. Maybe, but see, that's the thing about being an artist. You got to do the things that no one else is gonna do.
yeah,
So it's kind of like, you know, being a graffiti artist. You're not gonna tag like the other famous graffiti artist or the guy that got most walls. You're gonna tag like your own style. So you have to go, well, this is what I'm gonna do, so no producer will follow my road, because that's what you want. You don't want no producer to follow your road. You want to sound like yourself, you know?
yeah, off tops, bro, off top.
And I think working with those type of machines do that, you know?
Yeah.
Because I saw this YouTube of Dilla and how he broke down or how he chopped up certain samples, right, on the MPC. And it was a certain setup. And what I noticed is like, oh, he's setting it up like a trumpet or like a saxophone.
Yeah.
Like in those type of ranges and notes. So when he hits that sample, it's like, oh, it's like doing this. You know, and I was like, boom, boom. And I was like, oh, wow.
Sicko.
Now I got to apply it to, you know, and you do little things like that.
Yeah.
And then you can apply it to digital, and then the world gets even double.
Right.
Right? Because you know that. But going back, when you have an MPC in front of you and you hit a pad and nothing comes out of it, That's kind of frustrating, right?
Yeah, you're just trying to like map shit out right, you know, like especially when I come from like something that I'm fluent in and I'm just like hitting these walls.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm sure it'll help me once I get over it, because it's like if somebody were to ask me to like, how do I get started DJing, Nugs? Because I used to kind of DJ a little heavier too when I was younger. And I would say, go analog first. Grab some wax. You'll get a much better understanding of BPMs and records. And then when you get that computer Serato, you know what I mean, tractor, then you just hit sync. See, if you start by hitting sync, you're not going to get the fucking old shit. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I guess that's my analogy for my beat making, because I do understand like certain analog aspects of other areas. Yeah, man, it's a trip. It's a trip.
It's the era of like preciseness. So when you're creating digitally, it's gonna sound right on all the time.
Yeah, because you can warp shit too. You can move little parts of the sample.
Right.
Really get tech with it.
And it still be on time.
Yeah.
Without having to go into that specific pad and adjust the frequency of, like, it's a whole different medium of creating music, right?
It's a beautiful world today.
Right.
And I'm sure 10 years from now, I might be in your chair talking to a youngin' like, God damn, the shit we had and the shit you have.
Right, exactly.
At some point.
Exactly. You know, because that's the first thing I ask when I meet a producer. It's like, what's your medium? Like, how do you do it? You know, and sometimes they'll be open about it, and sometimes they won't, because that's your style. You gotta unmute you.
When a producer approaches you like that, hey, how do you do it? You could tell if they're just like trying to know, just to know, to like bite your style or to mimic you, or like a genuine, like, hey, yo, how do you do that as a fellow producer?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and then you kind of give them a little bit more when you kind of know they're not going to take any weight.
You got to gauge them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, here's one that I do. Nowadays I see producers and they bring their pads and they play live, right? They'll play their beat live, like you were suggesting, but we didn't have the hookups. But I don't do that. I make a beat in a totally different way and totally different structure. I don't even play like that. You know, I don't play my drum beats like that. I use a snare, and I use that snare, and I fill in my kicks, layering them until it sounds like, right? And if I have to eliminate some, I will.
Facts.
But I still kind of layer. I don't do it like playing a pad like most producers do. Like DJ Warlock 1, who produced Doctrine and Discovery, he plays pads.
Shout out Warlock.
Warlock 1. So, yeah, I don't do it like that. If you ask me, hey, do a live beat set, I'd be like, like, I can't do it.
Do you know how Anthro produces? Because, you know, Anthro has a couple tracks that he produced for you, right? On your last mixtape.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Anthro is crazy because I suppose brought him, and he's like, hey, bro, my little cousin, like, he really wants to meet you. And I was like, dude, you're I suppose, bro. I've known you forever. Why are you asking me?
Say less.
And then he ends up being Anthro. He's like, dude, he's a big fan. He's like, dude, I'm a big fan of your music, bro. Like, I'm a big fan of it. And I was like, oh, that's cool. And I was like, oh, he makes good beats. And then he started showing me beats. I was like, oh, my fucking Lord.
He's a beast.
Yeah, he was pretty dope. Yeah.
I've been using his recent beat pack. He dropped a beat pack, and I seen that shit on the gram. Low-key used that on... Some of his drums are in track 3 on the Beat Dispensary out of his beat pack, actually.
Wow.
Yeah. Fun fact.
That's cool, man. Anthro, man. And then it was, I suppose, his cousin. And, you know, the history's crazy. Like, you know, Fora was performing in my gallery on 1st Street in the Art District. You know, when I had a gallery there. I suppose comes, I said this story with him, but I'm going to say it again. He's all, yeah, hey, I have an artist. It's about 80 people are going to be here. It's like 80 people. Dude, there was a fucking line. Like if it was a Palladium, bro. Little girls were like fucking ready to pay the $10 to get in. And then
a line of little girls.
Dude, I mean it, dude. Down the block. Like I thought they were going to call the cops and shit. There was that many people. But, you know, that's the cool thing about this next movement, because you're kind of there, bro. In my opinion.
Love.
You know, you're kind of like Fora, but in your own way, because you're young.
Off the camera,
you did it independently.
off the camera, we were talking about that infamous Cypher Effect circle. That one video that for SP Devour.
Yeah.
I don't know who else was in there. But like you said it, like there was one that just really took off to the moon.
Yeah.
Which was for. And you know
That's
was
crazy.
I know how he did it, and he didn't do it traditionally with music. He did it with his clothing brand, because that was the one thing that they wanted. They wanted to see him play, but they wanted the shirt and they wanted.
Now
the
that
sweater.
being said, I have to mention NugLife. I work in DTLA. I drive from Whittier to DTLA every day. I drive around DTLA all the time. I'm seeing your billboards everywhere. That shit is like a magnet. It literally, my fiance was sitting next to me the other day. Out of nowhere, she's like, "What the hell are you looking at?" And I'm like, "Fuck, that's a NugLife banner."
The homie.
Billboard, that's the homie right there. I'm proud of that kid.
Yeah, man.
You know, we've been promoting him for years, and now he's up there, you know, not just on one banner, but multiple. So kudos to you, NugLife, for actually making it happen. Screw all the naysayers. Put out those billboards, because honestly, it's working. And screw digital billboards. I don't believe in that at all. That's a scam.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, bro. You know, sometimes you just gotta take a fucking leap. When you know, I'm lucky for the few people I did mention that I do have around me, and those who want to help invest in me or invest in themselves too. Like, there's nothing better than doing that. Talking about investing in crypto and stocks and all the craziness, and it's like, invest in yourself, fam. You know what I mean? So that's what I really wanted to do, and make a statement. It was time to make a statement. You know, that was the biggest thing, and yeah, bro.
That's cool, man. And so what is it like? You know, I see the hat, you know, and you have, you know, some tattoos that represent your lineage. Where are you from? Or do you know, or
Man.
how does that work?
Yeah, so shout out to Grandma Nugs.
Oh.
She's the full bloodline out of the family, you know. Beautiful native woman. She is originally from New Mexico, Laguna Pueblo. And so in her younger years, they kind of like relocated to Southern California, to El Capitan Grande, because her pops was from the Laguna Pueblo in New Mexico, but her mom Dukes was from El Capitan Grande, which is like underwater aqueduct type of like reservation. Like, that's what they're known for, like Ramona water. Like, if you look at where water comes from, like, bro, like I'd say 4 to 5 times out of 10 you'll see Ramona.
Wow.
And that's coming from like the Barona Reservation, Siquan, Viejas, and there's a couple more, but we're actually all one. But through like government bullshit, we kind of started butting heads and shit. So we're our own entities really close nearby, if you will, our own reservations. AKA, my dad likes to call them like concentration camp type shit. Like, you know what I mean? Y'all gave us like no resources. Motherfuckers got to come up here to bring us gas to have a hot shower, or
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Luckily, we got the water over there, so that's our resource. But
And voice it.
Yeah.
This is the platform to do it, right, Zero?
Well, you know, that was the idea of LA Natives, you know, to tell our story of genocide. But on my perspective, bro, like, I've been studying it for a very long time, so I let loose.
Zero calls them concentration camps all day, every day.
Big day. There's not genocide is not something that they do lovingly. They try to screw you as best as they can, and if they find more resources, they'll take that too. Right?
Yep.
So if you know, we just saw the Natani memes, brothers Russell memes. I don't know if you know who Russell memes is.
I'm not hip.
Russell memes is one of the biggest activists in the 70s. He was hardcore, dude. He used to go up to, like, you look him up when you have. That's a good person to kind of get inspiration from.
Yeah.
Him and John Trudell.
Okay.
So everybody in LA Natives, they got to do some homework. So Russell memes, John Trudell. Anyways, Russell memes just had the documentary that he just did. And I lost my train of thought.
Yeah.
It was Natani Means' documentary,
Right.
the Standing Rock.
Right, the Standing Rock
Okay,
documentary.
okay.
So there's a youth movement that happened to be indigenous that are doing hip hop music, right? And so we always try to not be political. This is not political, but factual, right?
Oh man.
Factual. And colonizers stole, raped, and there's no soft pillow for them here. And we call it out. But anyways, you have issues at your reservation, and it's not surprising because they are concentration camps that we in the city go, oh, he has a reservation. Like if it's some cool shit, like, oh yeah, it's cool there.
Yeah.
It's not cool there. It's not camp.
Yeah.
You know, they're not riding on horses and, you know, doing ceremonies. It's a very, very dark place. And we need to bring that out. And that's the point of what we're, you know how you said, fuck that, fuck the government. We started saying that in 99, right? Because in 94, they said that that's the rise of the sixth sun prophecy, which is when the Zapatistas rose from up in Mexico and started the war. That kind of created a whirlwind of interest in this culture. Like, not just kind of like how you are into cannabis. Well, we were into this. You know what I mean? Just figuring it out, going to ceremonies, going to sweat lodges, really engaging ourselves in this message. And so
dope.
we created a platform for brothers like you that maybe are very a part of it or maybe not. It doesn't matter. We're one community.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
Say amen to that, bro. And it's like, yeah, man, that shit is a concentration camp. And it's like my pops, shout out to my pops. He lives out there on the res in East County, San Diego, in the cuts, bro. It's not cool out there, bro. Like it is peaceful though. I love to visit him down there, get away from all this craziness. But at the same time, it's like the minute you leave the res into Santee and Lakeside, it's like you got all these Trump supporters and shit and this negative energy. It's kind of crazy, bro. But it's dope that, so my grandma back in the day she was one that kind of didn't know but set out and came to LA when she must have been like somewhere between like 18 years old, you know what I'm saying? So
New Mexico.
Actually, she was already in Verona growing up as a kid in San Diego, but
Okay.
a lot of her family never really like left the res. So she was the first one to kind of like start a life, move to LA, take a leap. So I think a lot of my leaps come from her too. Just like, oh yeah, you were the one that was just like trying to just set out, but also like maintain. And so it's really dope that, you know, my pops was born in the projects in LA. Like she lived in the projects in LA, and she even tells me like at the time it wasn't even that bad in the projects. Like it was kind of nice. Like, and it's funny to hear shit like that. And every time I meet with her, and I try to visit her every week and make her some food or something, and kick it at the house.
That's cool.
But somehow, some way, it always just ends up her telling me just like stories back in the day, just all the good times on the res. And you know, like even pull up down there and like her house is there, like kind of like in rubble now at this point, like a monument to me. Like, yo, this is crazy to see this. I stop by there and just smoke sometimes and just kick it and just like, oh my God, like just take in all the energy and imagine what it was like. But yeah, just some thoughts as you were talking. I'm just ranting. So.
No, that's cool. Yeah. Well, we asked you that, you know, how do you connect with that? And obviously it's very light in your music. It's not about your music, but you came in with a cool hat that represents a lot of things to a lot of people on this Turtle Island. And that's my point, is that you don't have to be in depth, you know, spitting philosophy to be on this show. We want to introduce the younger generation to some work that we did in the past that kind of fills that voice that you just showed on our thing about, because you don't really sit down with your artist friends and go, hey, it sucks at the res, man. Like,
yeah, nah,
That's not your thing. And that's okay. That doesn't have to be your thing. We say that shit.
Yeah.
Because artists, I was always, when I got into really writing my lyrics, I got inspired by the most rebellious artists. And I asked, why? Because we hate colonialists, imperialists, people who take advantage of children. These are the people that are completely not a part of our system of or way of thinking or even want to be around, right? And sometimes you can see that in overlays of music or business or whatever. You see that mentality. That's what we are pointing out. It's not your color of skin. Like a lot of people give us heat because we say white people, but that's not what we're saying. We're saying people who disrespect water, who disrespect the land, who disrespect the air, right? Have no fucking idea how to be a human, so they treat humans badly. That's what we're confronting. And that could be any color. You could be black, you could be Asian, you could be Mexican. It doesn't matter. Your fucking mentality is very clear. And that's what we point out here. And we try to feature artists that, you know, you don't have to be a part of that message, but it's there.
And you know,
The history is there, NugLife.
Yeah.
man, it's
You go to the res and you feel the history just hitting you, right?
yeah. And I made a lot of NugLife 2020 on the res in quarantine too, because I was fucking, when COVID first started, I moved in with my pops down there for a while. I was just like, fuck it, it's safer. City's crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know what's gonna happen. So you hear a lot of it in NugLife 2020 too. And even if it's not directly speaking on natives or indigenous, it's like, nah, but the system, like anti-system. And a lot of times it's other artists speaking for me, so that's why it may be that way.
Oh yeah, I heard one of the tracks on I guess it's that album, but he was, you know, very conscious about what's happening, and I think he mentioned a little
Probably
bit about
Issa Gold maybe on Long Flights. Or
I think so. Long Flights. That's exactly the song that I was talking about. Yeah.
Zay,
bro.
she's indigenous.
She
She's
always
native.
brings that to the table in the stew. Like one of our songs, Retrograde, you know what I mean? Like she said, don't let that white man get you down. Like, and it's like, it's not about all white people. Like we know, and those who know who we're talking to, you know what I mean? Because we got white homies in the hood that we don't see anything, bro. We don't see any color, you know what I mean? Like even this Asian hate shit's crazy because it's like you pull up to Oakland, bruh, that ain't happening there, bro. That ain't happening in the Bay. That ain't happening really out here that I see, like, blatantly. Like, I don't know, man. It's a fog they're putting on us, bro, because it's like, from what I experience in life, for the most part, like, we all pretty happy in these metropolitan areas for what I know. It's when you get in these funky middle of nowhere, but yeah, thank you guys for having me on the platform to speak. And it's like, I know I'm like subtle with the native gestures, but it's like embedded in me. And like my pops, even, he warns me. He's like, you know what I mean? Like, do what you got to do, bro. You know, pay your taxes, bro. Like, stay off the fucking radar, bro.
Yes.
He's heard certain shit embedded in my music where he's like, I don't like that. He's like, I know what you're standing for, bro, but like intro track to NugLife 2020, he was like, and I'm just like, you know, like he's warned me not to get on the bad radar, but he also knows I love that shit too, that fuck you, fuck the government music. Like he knows that's in me, so.
Of course he's going to worry.
Yeah, so I think as my platform gets bigger, I will be able to do that more because I don't want to feel like I'm like, the man or the whatever's the system shuts me down too early. So as I go on, I think I'm going to have, you know, I'm going to grow older and I'm going to hopefully have some dope ass sessions on the res and like build a studio at his house and bring these dope artists I'm working with out there for like a weekend or a week at a time.
That'd be dope.
So it's like my mind, like I know that that's there too. And when it's my time too, to give back to that, whether it's directly to my res or just to like indigenous kids in the city, both, you know what I mean? Like that's, I sit down and I'm in the lab and these are notes that I take to myself, just like, you know what I mean? Remember. And
Well,
Yeah, man.
you know, since
You're not the only one, NugLife. This podcast has the same philosophy as yours to build a platform to give back to the community, right,
yes,
Zero?
yes, that's our whole mission. Like if we could create an economic platform, because I think instead of we've been through protesting, bro, and I'm meeting a lot of people your age, right? Last night I went to Natani. A couple of nights ago I went to Natani Means and this young cat, I've never met him before, but he is like really into my music. And like he's young like you, but has influence. He has a good musical sound. He's just dope, and he's really into like, man, you guys are the OGs and what you did before and this and that. And what I'm trying to tell you is we as artists have a heart that's like bigger than the world. And we want to solve something. What can we do to solve this horrific thing that's happening in front of us?
And
you know what you could do?
Yeah, go ahead.
You know what you could do?
what's that?
Be the dopest producer and make the dopest song. That's it. That's all you have to do. Your job is not to cure the world. Your job is to convince people that the world is a beautiful place, even though bad things happen. That's your job. That's it. Just do that. If you do that, people will continue to listen to your music, because Jaguar Prophecies was released in 2002, and this young kid was probably about fucking 5 years old.
Crazy.
But make music like that. Put all that love that your pop said into that. You don't have to say fuck the government, but you could say, I don't like being displaced. I don't like being marginalized. I want to say the true history of what you did. You abducted children, you raped them, you put them into boarding school. What is that? Boarding care schools or whatever the fuck they call them.
Random families and shit.
Exactly.
Like,
they put people on trains and shove them way in the fuck over there in the Dakotas when they're from California, and you created a mess and then go, oh, but that happened so long ago. You should be cool. Are you cool? No, you disrupted everything. And if I want to write about it, I have to be so sharp and so accurate that there's no argument. That's the way I take my lyrics.
Yeah.
I am fucking sharp and accurate so that there's no fucking argument from anyone. And I use the creator to help me do that.
And I love
all this medicine.
And I love knowing now, NugLife, I've known you for years, and to have that element in your catalog to give back to not only the community, but the indigenous native reservation, like your homeland, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I also do superfood smoothies, right? And I got into mineral-based foods.
Yes.
And so my dream, right? This is the whole dream. Instead of having a major record deal and, oh, look at my penthouse in fucking LA and look at my nice car, I would rather create a tour that takes my mineral powder to the reservations where there's lacking mineral for free. We did this crazy concert here, generated a bunch of money, and this is our give back to them.
Fire.
Why? Because we love them.
Yeah.
Because the orphans that were displaced by Spaniards for 500 years are working together to create that to happen. And that's the way we subtly give back.
Yeah.
We cure that wanting to cure.
Yeah.
Because we can't cure shit.
You can just be the biggest ripple effect you can.
Absolutely.
In this bigger picture. You know
and
what
your
I mean?
music does that. Keep doing that.
Thank you, bro.
Because
That's
it's
so
really professional. It's not easy to make professional music like that.
Man.
I would actually consider your music medicine.
Yeah.
Thank you, bro.
Especially for the youth at these reservations. For them to know that, hey, this is a dope producer who goes by NugLife, and he loves cannabis. I love cannabis. Right? I've been talking
in North Dakota, in Iowa. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
You could do that. And
like,
you probably are doing it.
That'd be sick, bro. Like, even as you said, like how you want to go to the res with your minerals, with the superfoods for them, like put people on game, you know what I mean? And like, even if I could do something to like pull up to certain reservations at some point and come to that aspect of things and kind of do a tour off that way would be crazy.
Because they deserve it. I, as an artist, have got inspiration by like Nina Simone, by like artists that wanted to say and do something. And if maybe they did a little bit, but how can I improve on what they did? What can my focus be, right? Because I have a heart that's like wants to cure something, but I can't cure it.
Yeah.
I just want to do it, you know. It's so what's my best?
Teach.
What's my best thing is to contribute to it, right? So I write poetry, I create LA natives, I find brothers like you, and I try to make an intergenerational connection with your respect, with no judgment. This is who you are. The great sun, Tonatu, the Aztec calendar, the Tonal Machio, it shines on everybody, bro. And our lineage understood it to a T. And that's our message. And that's what we've been. Masatzin, NugLife. I mean, we're trying to create our own culture that's inclusive to everyone, but fucking respect us, because that shit's over. Not respecting us, because we protect ourselves.
Right. And keep in mind that the first element that's propelling all this is hip hop.
Yeah.
Life.
Yeah.
That's even more amazing, right? So now we're creating conversations, incorporating indigenous talk, showcasing indigenous artists, and then, you know, what's moving it all? It's not just hip hop, right? It's underground hip hop.
Yeah.
That's what's even more important to me.
And
because NugLife comes from the underground hip hop community.
Right. And the people that he worked with, like Planet Asia, they're not mainstream artists. They're artists that work 3 times, 4 times, 5 times as hard just to be relevant, just to even have a name in LA. Right? I know that road. You know, I've been in that road. You know, you work really hard and hopefully some people acknowledge you. And when we went to Natani Means, man, I got a flood of kids just, you know, wow, into the music. I'm like tripping, going, well, I guess YouTube does.
Even at the end of that show, I noticed you had a circle of kids just, you know.
And that just comes with the knowledge that I'm trying to share, right? It's cool to be on a platform where you can explain your music, right? Whatever I'm talking to you is, you can picture what my lyrics could be. Now picture them 10 times better because I spent a lot of time on them. So that's a part of being who we are. NugLife, it's not surprising that he's that talented and that dope, because indigenous people have an art to them that's like, it's proper connection, right? Like, there's a lot of people that are of indigenous descent that we don't even know because they don't recognize it, right? They're just like, oh yeah, I happen to be, right? Yeah. But they're very profound artists.
Yeah.
Right?
That shit's a trip, man.
Go ahead. Just to finish the point real quick though, how much has indigenous things, not just art, we'll conceptualize the art later, but cacao, which is chocolate, that affects the globe. It went to Europe and they went crazy on it. You know what I mean? Corn just proliferated globally. We've affected the continent and the globe so now you can put your art into that now. You can be that piece. That's what my message is to the community. Just put your piece. That's it.
And I would suggest anyone that's going to be listening to this on our archives on Twitch or YouTube, or if you're on Spotify right now, make sure you guys follow NugLife.
Yeah.
You know, all you have to do is
fire music.
Honestly, just Google NugLife and his whole catalog will pop up. Preferably, let's visit his website.
Yeah.
It's NugLife.com, is it not?
Perfect. Yes. Perfect.
You know, let's not funnel anyone to social media. You know, Zero. I'm not into that, right?
Yeah, tap into that website. You'll see that email subscribe joint. You hit that email subscribe, you'll get more than I give you on social media, and you know what I mean. That's where it gets real.
That's a genius approach at music.
He's building on his tribe.
That's cool, and that's what it's about.
And that's our approach, right, Zero? Do I not always mention to you that it's the website and subscribe?
Yeah, that email. What happens when Instagram becomes a MySpace?
Yeah, exactly. Which it's already there.
Yeah.
It's already there. Armando says it perfectly. And what I try to tell people is it's a business. It's not free. It's not the public library. It's not like I got to control this. They're like, oh, you got a lot of followers? All right, well, let's start pulling back your shit. You know, you're going to pay for ads? Okay. It's like twisting your arm. But when you go to a website and you become a tribe, and there's a reason why you want to sign up to the email, is because this generous individual or organization is going to give you something, whatever it is, whether it be information about new music, whether it be information about new merchandise that they put out. Because another aspect of LA natives is to be very clear. Everyone we're bringing is independent. No one has, other than Taboo. Taboo had his own little thing, but he did it on an independent level, right? But you gotta support everything. Masatzin, NugLife. Buy a shirt. It's gonna be original because he's not mainstream, but very exclusive and very dope. And you'll like it. That's the whole point. Or at least go to the website and check it out. Because when we build an economic platform, then protests go away. You have money and you can protect yourself. That's the way we need to do it.
Yeah. The first time I got that wake up call was when remember when SoundCloud went out and then Chance bought it?
Yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is going to happen to all this shit? Yep. You know what I mean? But before Chance bought it, I was like, boom, everything has to stay on the website now.
Yeah.
To an extent. Yeah. To the most extent.
And then your tribe, the tribe that you create should buy hard copy things. Your job is to be as exclusive as, because that's the time that we're in right now at this moment. This very moment, it's about where is that at? Because it's not in a major flyer and they're not, because no one's advertising in that way because of the situation we're in. I like to talk about the situation we're in, but I don't like to point it out.
Yeah.
Right? That's obvious. I always talk about the situation. It's over exaggerated. There's no need for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? But I don't get pointed out because I never say it.
Yeah.
Right.
You keep in mind, guys, that's going to be coming to our Patreon very, very soon, guys. I know we've had so many fans DM us, email us, approach us in person, asking us when we're dropping the Patreon, and best believe within the next 14 days, we're going to release it, Zero.
Absolutely, because it's about information, man, and supporting our community and creating dope things. And now we have, like, I felt like I have a brother now. Like, NugLife is like somebody that we fuck with, right? It's like,
likewise.
you know,
Likewise.
I mean, he's right in the culture, and that's my job, is to be the intergenerational link. Because once we create that strong bond and create an economic platform, then we don't need to beg anybody or any government, because government is just like the LA Times or McDonald's. It's a establishment that's for hire to control masses of people.
Yeah.
That's all that is. So don't wait for them to help you. If they were going to help you, they would have helped you already.
And I see so many artists today putting all their eggs in that Instagram basket or Facebook basket. Yeah. And little do they know, like, NugLife knows what time it is with Underground Hip Hop Blog. It's all about our website and our subscriber base. Why? Because essentially it's the most affordable way in marketing, because we could just reach out to them via email.
And the email is where the information lies. I remember when I was a kid, we played the Roxy Theater. And it was on another K-Rock kind of style band, but I just recalled this memory of our guitarist being older than us and graduating from GIT in Hollywood. So there was a bunch of bands that go to there. And so he came back one day with the strategy. He's all, we're creating a mail list, like a physical mail list. So when we played the shows, he collected 150 physical mails, like addresses.
Crazy.
And so he put these, one time I saw him folding the paper and mailing them out. And the response from the fans, they would bring the flyer to the show.
Nice.
Like, I got it in the mail.
Yes.
Like, it was, but he learned that from GIT because he saw other bands do it. And we had content. And then he threw in 2 buses and like, oh, you get to the ticket plus the bus ride to the Roxy. And we sell out the Roxy at 17 years old.
Brilliant.
And he was like 22 or something like that. But he had this marketing strategy, right?
It's brilliant.
So we got to apply those things to generate our products. NugLife music,
Right.
NugLife production.
I have to admit, NugLife, you know, me, I'm heavy into SEO. I'm heavy into marketing, bro. And
Okay.
like, I see so many hip hop banners out there, digital banners, and then, you know, billboards. And bro, you know what shook me?
What's that?
What hit me hard is when I saw NugLife.com.
Whoa.
Because every other artist right now, they're putting their Instagram or they're putting their Facebook, or they're only putting their Spotify link, or there's like an Apple logo. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, oh my God, if they only knew how much money is going behind these billboards.
Wow.
And the proper way to do it is put that website, because once you hit that
Crazy.
website, you got that cookie. You have the opportunity to get that email. And I know NugLife, that element came to you, right, to make that decision, because I know it was probably tempting to put your Instagram, right?
It
Boom, boom,
was. I
boom.
tried to in the rough drafts and shit, and it just wasn't working. It was like too much. I linked the homie who did my album art and my big homie Night Owl, who's done past album art, dope graffiti artist. And I kept sending it to them, and I'm like, all right, how about this one? How about this one? Getting both their critiques as
And you're
as
doing the
artists.
graphic design?
I am for the billboards, and
Amazing. That's amazing.
yeah. So I'm,
Are you fucking kidding me for the billboard?
yeah,
Damn.
you know, the in between shit. So I do a lot of my graphics, but album art, I like to get it with the artist so they can just and I can focus on my shit. But yeah, so they definitely helped me. Like, you know, Night Owl's like, bro, simple. You got a couple seconds to make people remember something, bro. You know what I mean? You can't have everything up there. So logo. And that's why we did different ones, where it was like some logo ones and some with the album cover emblem by VMR, because the homie Night Owl was like, yo, you're always trying to promote like you, or like promote the project, bro. Like really promote this piece of art, you know. But in some of them, I did put the logo on blast. So just remember, you know, because that's going to be this NugLife logo on the shirt, and the one you see on the billboards is like my a really dope kind of like teacher I had when I took some business classes. I remember he showed us like a fucking, on the projector screen, it had like Metallica's joint, like Tribe Called Quest, like Naughty by Nature, all these different, like, it was like their fonts but different words spelt in them. So it would be like the font of this epic artist entity, but it would say like fucking car or just a random word, and he's like, what is this, who is this? And he was putting us on game, like, why do you know this, like, you know what I mean? So that was that power in the logo, I feel like, matching to the website, and just trying to have that remembered, like that NugLife graffiti drip, even if you see it written a different way with a couple bud leaves popped behind it, like, you'll know. Cool. Like, but
I like your marketing. Your marketing is great.
Thanks, bro.
But it has a product.
Yeah.
Good music. Good music. It doesn't, you can't just have all that without good music. Like, you have to have good music.
Bro, shout outs to cats like Viva, even like talking with him and working on his project.
Viva Mezcal.
Viva Mezcal. We're working
East
on
of
our
the
joint.
river.
Yeah, the Ballad of El Vuh, and it's like, that's our next joint coming May 7th, and it's like, seeing his game too, it's like, yo, if you spend this much on a video, you better spend the same amount on the promo, or you better run this, you know what I mean? Like, he's really making plays, and it's like that type, taking those type of mentalities into place, and just really mobbing, like watching the pillars, like how Noah James mobs, and like watching how Vel mobs and shit. It's like, fuck, man. Like,
You produce for Val?
Yeah.
Oh,
Got
that's
some
cool.
joints for Vel.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Homegirl is crazy, bro.
Yeah.
We got a joint on NugLife 2020 and this recent project, and we got some shit in the chamber.
No way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's crazy how the rappers that you work with, they have really long lyrics. Like, they're just like, it's like a book almost, which is cool. I like it. It's because of the beat. The beat has this lofty, you know, kind of, it has room to do that, you know, all these lyrics. So the artists that you're working with are the perfect people for these beats.
Bro, I saw your banners.
Perfect storm.
NugLife, and the first thing that came to my head was underground hip hop. Crazy. And that's vital for me because I run a damn website that's called Underground Hip Hop Blog. Yeah. And I saw your billboard. I'm like, wow, he did it. Because it's not just promoting the album, right? NugLife, it's promoting all the artists that are on that album and the names, right? And the majority of those names are underground as underground as it gets.
It can be, bro. Yeah, that shit.
Who's your favorite?
I don't think I got a favorite. I'll tell you off camera now.
Okay, who's your
I could tell you my favorite on your whole project. And, you know, it's not just because I you know the kid and I support him out, but, you know, so SP, man, I'm just so proud of that. You know, I'm proud of Self-Provoked, man. He's come a long way.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's watching his grind and getting put onto him as a youngin', and then seeing his Flavors project drop before I met him and slapping that joint. I just knew he had a crazy style, bro. And then meeting him in person for the Beat Dispensary 1, we got him on a joint with my brother, Mike Pro. And then from there, we just had a dope collab run. And but yeah, shout outs to him for really kind of like showing love since the first Beat Dispensary 1 and having the chance to produce for him and shit. So yeah, he's a beast, bro. And he's on some whole other shit now. Like I see him about to get into just like really seeking out like Alchemist and Griselda and like Action, like I know that's where his head's at. So wherever he, you know what I mean, I see him. So if I can help be a part of that too, man, crazy.
Yeah. Wow, those are big names for. Yeah. It's crazy to see these guys grow up like and then do this. You know, I don't know him personally, but I know of him. You know, a lot of shows in the Valley through, I suppose. Like, you know, that's
I could say I believe we got his first ever video interview as well. We got Forrest's first ever video interview. We got Reverie's first ever video interview.
Wow.
Gavlin's first ever video interview. You know what I'm saying? And I saw that wave. I saw that group.
Yeah.
You know, make something out of absolutely nothing.
Tour Europe. Like
all
of a sudden you turn around, you're like,
NugLife has made something from absolutely nothing, right, NugLife?
Baby steps into big things.
Yeah. But just having faith and, you know, you obviously have to like, can't charge a lot of money to some of these people that are just, you know, like you said.
Oh, man. Yeah, you got to do a lot of shit, man. You got to balance it out to get wherever you got to go, and you got to it's like you got to play chess, but your heart got to be in it, man.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like of course, like we got to break bread and know our worth, but sometimes like you got to know it's like, nah, it's time to collab and let's get this shit cracking. Like let's get this fucking.
Because at the end of the day, if you go, because you should know who's fire and who isn't. Like if you see an MC and they spit something, or somebody Self-Provoked goes, hey, this kid right here, let's put him on this, and you're like, and then next thing you know, he's like bananas, like fucking dope as fuck. Yeah. You got to have that kind of ear too, and know when to pull the trigger, right?
Yeah. And even, you know what I mean? Back end percentages could be nice, just to have fun for the day. You know what I mean? And make sure like percentages are cool. You know, we're in a different day with DistroKid and teams and getting your, you know, what? Like shout out Order the Prophet. Like, I'll give you guys one scenario. Like, Order the Prophet out of Cincinnati, dope, like woke. Like just spitter kind of collabs with like AK the Savior from the Underachievers, and he hit me one day. He's like, yo, I'm about to get in the lab like with Dizzy Wright. I need a beat. Come on now. You know what I mean? Now I got Dizzy on my project. You know what I mean? So it's like, but that was the thing where it's just like, okay, bet. Let me get a percentage with you. Oh, cool. Here's some beats. Wow. Let's run that shit. So that's how we got Smoked That Good. And I was able to like hit him later to be like, yo, can you link me with Dizzy? Like, so that's how we got Roll the Dice. And then looking up to like Papa J back in the day and OGT in that same kind of time frame we were talking about earlier. So we got him on that track with Frankie OG. But man, it's a balance.
I love that track with Rome Streets too, man. Like we actually had him in here for a mic session not too long ago, man. That dude's a legendary artist.
crazy. Yeah, he's a beast, man. You post that shit yet or no?
I did. I actually
did?
posted back to back. Yeah, I posted it.
I need to peep that.
Yeah.
ASAP. But that was crazy because me and Val had that track for a while, low key in the vault, in our bag of tricks, if you will. And you know, I asked her if it was cool, got the blessing for the album, and fucking hit up Rome, and that it was a rap. Like, for him to be like, yo, if it's dope, I'll fuck with it. You know what I mean? So. And then to show it to Vel, like, as me being kind of like the underdog, like, you know what I mean? That is so dope. But, you know what I mean? At the same time, it couldn't have happened without her. So it's just like really, yeah, man, just figuring it out. And the timing is beautiful because Rome is a fucking wordsmith to his own. And it's like to see where he's going. And yeah, man, to cross paths is dope, even if it is just digitally right now in COVID.
Oh, is that the way it's working? Like they're sending you files and it's not.
A lot of the beat dispensary, was digital because it was kind of the end of COVID, you know what I mean? Now I think I'm ready to start having some sessions again.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, getting back to the frame of way it's, music is created.
So
with
I want to ask you guys, like Zero,
Yep.
in your heyday when you were just producing mad beats and stuff, like how often were you in the studio? Like any given week, how many hours were you putting in? And the same question for you, NugLife. Like right now, you're in your heyday. Right now, you're at your prime. Right now, you're killing it. And I can only imagine how many hours you're putting in per week in the studio. Like, go ahead and break that down.
For me, it was like at least minimum 8. At least. But when I was creating Jaguar Prophecies, I was so into the beats that I would go in the day and come out at night. So that's like 10, 12 hours. Because you get into a zone where you're like, oh, I got something. I'm creating something that no one's created before. And it just, and I had a stack of records that just fell in line. Like I found this Peruvian record. I found this folk songs from Mexico on wax. So I was sampling into the MPC. So I created Ciudad Celestial, which was a song that we took to Mexico. And it takes long hours. But it also takes an ear to know who to put those, to who to rap on. Like you were describing, like, oh shit, Val, ooh, this is a good opportunity, And back in the days, you used to hoard beats and you're like, oh no one can have my beats, right?
Yeah.
Like, no, nobody can have my beats and this and that. And,
I still do that to an extent. Yeah.
But then I heard, since like I read articles about producers and I like their perspective. That's why I'm loving this conversation because I could see your mind, And I read that Alchemist was like, dude, I saw a beat for like $10. And I was like, what? $10? He's all, well, yeah, it makes sense. I make the beats. It's not like I'm not going to make another one.
Yeah.
I'm going to make 100 of them.
Yeah.
So I have like 500. And then it just blew my mind. I was like, that was the dumbest thing to hoard beats because it made you lazy because you felt like you had beats. But you just got to create and create. After that moment, that's the way I do things. Even when I'm writing lyrics, I write lyrics to beats that I like and I just have them. You know what I mean? Because I know I put a lot of time into them and they're refined. And now they can be put on anything.
Yeah.
Almost anything. Right.
Very much so. Yeah, that shit just about the same, man. Long days, 8 hours, 12 hours. You know what I mean? It's
wow.
Like, yeah, especially
in 1 week, in the last week.
The last week, it's been nonstop. Wow. I mean, you know what I mean? Considerably like 10 days before the album drop and 10 days after, it's always just like pretty much only that.
Okay, so most importantly, what does your diet consist of when you're in those studios constantly, all day, every day? How about you, Zero?
Well, now I'm on my minerals, so I only eat once a day, all the time. So I usually drink my mineral in the day, then I drink tea, and then I'll eat either fruit, like the fruteros. I'll buy like a bag of fruit.
And cannabis is on the menu as well too. So go ahead and add that element.
Oh, okay. So I smoke in the. I just roll through the day, man. But I intermittent fast every day.
Nice.
Every day of my life. It makes me feel more energetic. I still get to do my exercise. I don't focus on food, and I get my projects done. My mind is really sharp. Once I eat, that's when I slow down and I just chill and I, smoke, watch a movie.
How about you?
My diet got worse as the crunch time came. I'm not gonna lie, but I try to keep it like it's a switch up of like some fruit. You know what I mean? In the morning, some nice fruit and oatmeal and grains type of vibe. If not, like some eggs, avocado, and like maybe like a healthier type of bread if I can. I pressure myself to try to have like some nice greens in the day, at least halfway at my halfway lunch point, and then something hefty at night, like something weighted type of food with a veggie. I'm like a hybrid. Like I don't mind some vegetarian in my day, but I will do some meat to kind of keep me going here and there. Good meat. You know what I mean? Like yeah.
I'm just asking. But I've been to so many studios in sessions where cats are recording for weeks, right? And they're ordering food and stuff, and it's fast food all day.
Yeah, sometimes
and it's Cheetos and Twix and Snickers and then sodas and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, we can't sustain this. This is not sustainable.
Well, it's a mistake. When you start to see what an artist is, that's where your advantages are. Like, I learned that when I went to Mexico City and I started meeting artists that were not in a big city that was rich and could make a living off of it, yet they still dedicated their time to becoming this rapper or artist. Yeah. It was on another level. They're like, they wouldn't even let you see how they wrote on their page. Some of them were meditating for like 40 minutes before they went into the booth. Crazy. Like they do things like a boxer would do to train for a fight. I'm going to Big Bear and I'm running up hills and that's what because it's an advantage against the other fighter. Yeah. They had that kind of mentality.
Man.
And that's the kind of mentality I kind of use. Because when you come to talk about this stuff, like I go in like if I'm Vinny Paz. Talking about what his subjects are. I come in like that. So that anyone else that's going to come behind me, they're going to either know like, oh, that they're following that guy or, you know what I mean? Like just make that. And then sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I haven't met somebody that said, oh, I like this song better than that song. You know what I mean? Comparing it on the subject matter. Do you dig what I mean? Like if it was about weed and it's like, oh, that guy wrote a better song than weed. But I do take that competition approach to like, no, I got to be I'm writing it down. I got to be the best at that. Yeah. At least when it comes to this. That's my thing.
So have you guys been in environments like that when studio sessions is nothing but junk food and you're just like, fuck it, I'll just deal with it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It happens. With pizza and shit.
Like pizza's really heavy.
Yeah.
It almost stops you from thinking.
Yeah.
Pizza's probably like the number one choice.
Soda's another thing that people don't that's what I'm telling you. All these artists would tell me that. Oh, you don't do this? Oh, you don't meditate before you do this?
Ooh.
Oh, you don't warm up your voice?
And the reason why I'm pointing this out because is it a coincidence that almost every native or indigenous artist does keep that in mind where, that's a factor. Like you were mentioning oats, fruit. Like, it just.
I had a wake up call, bro, like through quarantine, to be honest, 2020. And like, to where it's like, I even had like a holistic healer during early quarantine when I was living with my dad on the res through some family members out there. And I had met her and she just put me on game like, yo, like, if you can start creating less, but if you're on a higher frequency, like, you're just you'll be hitting the nail on the head every time instead of fucking just like working all day, draining yourself, wrong like stuff in your body, wrong mentality, like energy, all that. She's like, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, yeah, just if you operate at a higher frequency, like you will be more efficient off top. So I think she really woke me up and she put me on game to a cool diet and to where even my pops, like the shift happened with him because he saw what I was doing at the house. You know what I mean? And so yeah, that shit's, I learned shelf life during 2020 quarantine. I definitely, to where before, like, so I don't blame some of those artists to an extent because it's like I know what it was like coming out of this. I used to be at this lockout studio by USC where Warlock is actually. I had a lab at his same lab, yeah. And fucking, I would come out of there like past 12, you know, to go back home, and it's like all there was the fast food and
Absolutely,
the fucking.
yeah.
But I would go fuck with the Mexican spot and try to get like a veggie burrito if I could, or something, or potato tacos, or eat some meat sometimes. Yeah. But fucking, yeah, man. So I was a victim.
But it's in you to be cautious.
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to point out, right, Zero? That almost every artist that we've interviewed, for some weird reason, native artists are just cautious on what they put in their body.
Well, it affects us. You don't go from eating natural sources of water that are, like, think about it. You just go, oh, this river is going and it's just pure water. It's not. It has algae in it. It has pollen from the trees. It has so many other things. Yet, as wild individuals, we used to drink from that thing. So we weren't just drinking water. We were drinking mineralized water, right? All that can be applied today. You just got to know what minerals to use. Once you eat those certain minerals, the cravings for meat go away. Your dependence on eating 3 meals a day or focused on a hunger pain goes away. Like I don't have a hunger pain. My mind's telling me I'm hungry, but I don't have a hunger pain. That's why I'm able to go, oh, I'll wait till after the podcast to eat. You know, I was going to eat at about 2, but then my nephew said we're going to eat at around 6. So I went, okay, well, then I won't eat at 2. I'll eat at 6. Do you understand how it works? Because I'm mineralized. I have minerals. So the minerals are already feeding my bloodstream. I don't need to really eat. I can go all day fasting, but that's not what I want to do. You know, I want to go sit down with my family and eat.
And this is why we need to set NugLife up with a kit of Mananali superfoods.
Oh, for sure. We'll put you on the minerals for sure, man. And they're all plant-based. So what I use is spirulina, maca, chia, cacao, and hemp. And you take 1 tablespoon in the morning before anything. Nice. And after that, do what you got to do. Okay. All right. You go and you'll be like, oh, I'm kind of not hungry, but I have energy. You know? If you alkalize your body with fruit as the first thing you eat, you just prolong the ability to keep yourself from wanting or craving to eat anything. You know, that's when you can go into overtime. Yeah. And not eating because of your will is not good. Yeah. But not eating because you're mineralized is really good, because then your organs start to function in a certain way. They start to heal themselves. They start cleaning instead of breaking it down. Right? So if we're constantly eating and then breaking it down and eating and breaking it down and eating and breaking it down, it's going to get clogged. Facts. But when you intermittent fast, your organs all day are like, okay, but nothing to break down? Oh, well, fuck it. Let's start cleaning ourselves. Yeah, you need that.
Especially at night. Like, people, like, the worst thing I probably did before I kind of like woke up to my diet was like, you know, having those long studio days, then having a fat meal at night and then going to sleep. It's like, no, I needed to like probably eat like 3 hours earlier, let that kind of slide through, and then then my shit can kind of like do its thing at night. What you're talking about, like have its moment to, you know, clean or rest or whatever it may be.
Well, think about that. Now, for me, if I do eat at night, it's going to be plant-based. Yeah. So I'm not going to have any hard digestion as it is. So not only do I intermittent fast, but my digestive is less because I'm plant-based. I don't rely on proteins. Proteins make your muscles big and make you work longer. That's all proteins do. They don't affect your kidneys. They don't affect your glands. They don't affect anything. But everything I mentioned in the formula that I have affects your organs, right? Yeah. Your organs. Think about it. Here's what ancient culture used to think of, right? If your organs are healthy, then your glands are healthy, right? And why are glands important? Because they secrete hormone. Hormones are moods. Moods are reality. That's why you eat this way. Yep. That's the ancient culture way of eating.
Shout out to Richie from Indigenous 1492. He's
Richie.
with us. Welcome back. That's
Hey,
our
we
brother
gotta
right
we
there.
gotta hook up
bro.
NugLife with the Indigenous hat, bro.
Yeah.
And the 1492 hat.
Send him the whole
I got
the whole
some
gift
at
box.
home, Yep.
Yeah, man, I'll pay for it.
That's my guy, bro. He always takes good care of me. You know what I mean? We
Oh, that's right. You know him already.
Yeah,
I
we
thought
had a collab back in the
Duh.
day, actually.
Serious?
Actually, he was there. I met him when I got this tattoo.
Oh, no
this
way.
is the No Dapple tattoo, and I seen that the shop that he in the valley was doing it and like putting the proceeds. And I met him because like he knew this band War of Casa, and my homie Malik was there too, who's kind of like in the Oakland scene, skateboarder dude. So it's kind of crazy how I met Richie. Shout out
he's
to
a
my
big
bro.
he's a big, you know, he's a part of the podcast, man. He's
Yeah.
like either he's in the chat or he's sitting in one of these chairs, or, you know, we're planning something to do, you know, to do together. But Richie's, you know, we always shout him out.
Now, if this event that we're planning at Indian Alley happens, Zero, I would love to invite NugLife to do a set for us, man. 'cause
Oh, do you do that?
Yeah, I mean the world seems to be opening, so I think I gotta start.
yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I
man.
gotta start doing sets again. So
Right. That would be
Yeah,
fucking.
that sounds sick.
Yeah, man.
fire.
We're trying to organize a nice little powwow right here in downtown LA.
June
Off of
25th.
June 25th, man. It's all native, indigenous hip hop oriented, and
Right.
Zero's gonna do a workshop, and we're just
Okay.
gonna have.
I'm gonna do a mineral workshop. It's like a brief thing that I did right now, but I'll talk in length about it.
Gotcha.
Then Masatzin's gonna break down the Aztec calendar,
Nice.
because what he has revealed to us, if you know, you probably haven't seen the other episodes, and that's okay, but he has revealed to us that the Aztec calendar is a profound measure of time that gives you a certain quality. It tells you what your quality is. In other words, you were born on a certain day. And here. So, you see these individuals right here?
Yeah.
There's 80 sequences of, I believe, 15, if not 18 minutes of time that our ancestors broke down
Okay.
in a 24-hour period. And so each moment in time or minute, because they're in 18-minute increments, have an assigned energy
Interesting. Okay.
because of thousands of years of observation.
Wow.
This is not just, oh, look at 500 years
Yeah,
of
yeah.
no, this is 26,000 years of observation. And each civilization, society, whatever you want to call it, contributed to this knowledge, this Aztec calendar. In other words, this is a culmination of every single tribe's knowledge across Turtle Island to build this stone.
Wow.
Why? Because they wanted to get an accurate reading of time and assign those energies in time. So you're born under one of these energies.
Yeah. True.
And it shows you your personality. And once you get your tonal, he starts to break it down. Maestro Masasin break it down
I see.
and get your in-depth reading. It's not astrology.
Yeah.
What he described it as was a little tiny golden string that goes all the way up to the sun. And that's your direct connection because of 26,000 years of observation broken down for us on the stone.
That's a trip. I need that. I need my, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
My reading. if you will.
Absolutely. No, we're going to hook you up
Yeah.
with Masatsin.
You need your tonal.
You need your tonal.
Tonal.
Exactly. Your tonal. And it's not about race. Indigenous people were human first. We were human. And that's the only way we can gather all knowledge and put it onto one stone. Because we had to be humble to them. They're not just going to give you knowledge. You have to be, I'm your student. I have to learn and then bring that back. So it's humility, because the sun will humble you, but he also loves you. And he'll tie a little golden string that goes directly from your heart all the ways to the sun. Because at that point in time, when the sun was hitting or it wasn't hitting, there was an energy a guardian, and a whole energy of that year cycle that you apply.
That's deep.
That's what we're trying to proliferate.
I'm waiting to see when my tonal is
We'll see.
precise.
Well, exactly.
I'm gonna be like, God damn it!
I want to make
you guys are too.
I want to make an announcement to all of our devoted LA natives out there. We are trying to put together an event.
Yes.
Any help works. We do have a donation area on our website, lanativespodcast.com. And best believe, if there's anyone out there listening that wants a dope indigenous event hosted by LA natives and Zero of El Vuh, donate a couple bucks. 100% of those proceeds are going to go directly into the funding of our next upcoming event. Right, Zero?
And then that day we're going to release Global Pandemic.
It's going to be a free event for the community, for the city of Los Angeles to gather.
Yeah, so I'm releasing that song, Global Pandemic, and then we're doing a show. And a lot of the youth of your age that are doing things right now are going to be involved. So it's kind of cool place to just kind of meet people.
Yeah.
Especially a part
Get
of,
inspired.
yeah.
Like, oh, wow, I like what he did. That fits with what I'm doing. And it's just really creating that community. Right?
And shout out to Obsidian Collective for hosting that amazing event
Yes.
they did
Natani.
this last couple of days, man.
Tani Means killed it. So many people were there.
It's an appropriate
PJ
space and
Vegas.
venue, right? I honestly, Zero, I didn't know about Indian Alley until that event.
Yeah.
You know?
Do you know about Indian Alley?
I don't. It sounds sick. Is it outdoors?
It is right
Yeah.
here. It's right in back of the Regent Theater.
Okay.
And it's kind of a good story and a bad story because it's like where they relocated. That's where natives
see.
came to be
I see.
relocated. And so a lot of the
It was a
stories
rehab
are
center.
a lot of the stories are them being high on the alley and drunk or dying.
Yeah.
But there's murals there now.
Yeah.
And our idea is like, we went back there with Natani Means and that show, and we're like, hey, me and Armando were talking, and we're like planning, and we're like, what a cool way to flip it though, flip it into positive. Because
Right.
I'll talk about minerals. That helps you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That mineral will heal you.
Take up the space.
Right.
Like that's our space now to convert it. You
And
know
then,
what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you have Masatsin tying hearts to the sun, giving tonales, right? And then you have the marketplace, where if you want to represent indigenous something, you can buy it there.
And then showcasing indigenous native artists.
Absolutely. And if NugLife, oh my God, if he does a live beat set,
Crazy.
it's over because this guy is like amazing. It would be like, man, it would be so sick.
So
Man.
before we let you go, NugLife, is there anything you want to drop? Any shout outs? Any last words for our LA natives community out here?
Man, I want to say y'all in tune with NugLife, LA natives.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Pull up to the show at the Indian Alley this June, and you might see me there after we just talked about it. You know what I'm saying? And no, thank you guys for providing this platform and bringing me on here.
Yeah.
And in the past, love from underground hip hop as well. You know what I mean? Tune into the Beat Dispensary 2.
Yeah.
Tap in with all the artists, a lot of different variety and styles, and something for everyone, if not everything. You know what I mean? And shoot, man, just keep challenging yourself however you can individually so you can help others too, And shit, man. Yeah.
Right on. Well, it was amazing to have you on our show. I think you're a very talented, kind of jazzy phenomenon that's happening with cannabis culture, with the youth, and growing into a vibe of humanism, which is our goal. Our goal on this earth is not to create, destroy, but to enjoy our Mama Tonantzin, our great Mother Earth. She gives us everything we need. She challenges us in every single way. But if we keep our heart pure and we trust in the great grandfathers that left us a tiny road to follow, then we'll fulfill our mission here on earth. And that's to be happy and to enjoy that little string that comes directly from the sun. My name is Zero Alanides. We'll see you.